Hello there, everybody. I'm Twilight Sparkle. Here with me today, as always, is my assistant. Introduce yourself.
Jigsaw. My name is Jigsaw. Rightio.
That's right. Welcome to the Twilight and Jigsaw Fanfiction Power Hour. Today we're reading the Celestia Code, chapters 5 and 6 by Esau. I can't wait to get back into this. Last time, I had saved you from the changelings, like the awesome person I am. Don't mean to brag. But other than that, yeah, that was about all that happened.
All right, let's actually get into it.
All right, yeah. All right. I'm not actually Twilight, guys. I'm Ross, and that's Wizzy.
What? I'm so devastated.
I was gonna keep that bit up, but you totally let go of the Jigsaw voice there.
I didn't want to have to keep being Jigsaw through the entire thing, even when I commentated the episode.
You fool. Oh, and also, you can go down into the description and like click on this story and read it for yourself first, because we're jokesters. We joke during the story, you know. But
that's our job.
You could also just give it a like if you need to. But please, Esau, if you're listening, write smaller words. Like, it's not that difficult. It's so easy. Anyways, I hope that's how you spell your name or pronounce your name. All right, I will start now. Chapter 5, Into the Ruins.
You were pretty hard on that changeling, Twilight.
Jigsaw said, her voice heavily laden with sarcasm. We were back at the camp above the canyon. A known location gave me a reliable teleport target, and though it took quite a bit of energy to cover the distance, I thought it was worth it. I was heating a third kettle of water to finish off the job of getting the disguised green goop out of our hair. Disgusting green goop, thank you. It was talking about changelings a bit ago, so my mind just went to disguised. My bad. Disgusting green goop out of our hair. As I said, I gave my word that I wouldn't hurt her, I reminded Jigsaw.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe she would have preferred a few broken limbs to a stern talking to and being sent home with a note for her mother.
I hope Jigsaw becomes a villain. I want her to be like the ultimate villain of this.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, wait, they're all Celestia? And then from behind, it's Jigsaw with a gun. They always have. I didn't reference that meme well enough, and I apologize.
Yeah, you really didn't.
I butchered it.
Yep. Jigsaw tossed the dirty cloth she had been using to clean herself with quite a bit more force than was necessary. I did not emphasize the right words on that.
Still, she really thought you were going to stomp on her for a second there. That's something.
I sighed. I could understand Jigsaw's anger. I could understand it because my own had been on a rather volcanic scale. But I wasn't just any pony anymore. I was a princess of Equestria. And that meant I had to think of the benefit to all ponies. And not just how good it would have been to feel that disgusting parasite's chitin cracking under my hooves. Chitin. It's chitin. My bad. Her mother is the queen of the changelings, and the note is a diplomatic communication.
So you said.
Jigsaw didn't look up as she spoke.
An official protest? My, how that must have stung.
I was getting a little bit angry myself at that point. Look, I know how frightened you must have been, and I understand that you wanted revenge on that thing, but while I was talking, Jigsaw walked around the fire and looked down to where our two bedrolls lay side by side. She glanced up at me, But when she saw that I was... Yes, Swizzy?
It's the bed rolls that the fake Jigsaw had placed next to each other when they were gonna, get groovy.
Yeah. Coincidentally, by the way, guys, we had just been editing the other episode by pure coincidence. This was either way going to be the episode that we recorded, but we took a bit to record, and we were all like, "Hey, let's edit the next episode together." We're like, "Okay, what's next episode? The Celestia code? What? Well, hot diggity damn, we're gonna record that next." And now we're recording it. Another bit of interesting news: a bunyip appeared in the latter half of that episode, and last night, before we edited that part, we got into a discussion about a bunyip, completely forgetting that it was in the episode. I just thought that was amusing.
That just means the stars have aligned for us to record this episode tonight.
Yep, I think this will be a great episode, honestly. Because of that, I think it'll be perfect. Jigsaw walked around the fire and looked down to where our two bedrolls lay side by side. She glanced up at me, but when she saw I was looking at her, she turned her head, avoiding my gaze. She lifted her blankets, moved them to the other side of the fire, and then lay down on them.
So cold.
Like stepping out of a nice hot sauna into a pool, I went, shockingly, from anger to deep embarrassment. I wasn't even sure exactly why. Talking didn't seem to be doing any good, so I decided to try not talking. I finished cleaning myself, put up a smaller shield over the camp, wrapped myself in my own bedroll, and pretended to sleep.
Twilight!
Guy must have fallen asleep at some point, or I wouldn't have been capable of being rudely awakened. What? I jumped up, scattering my blankets, and looking wildly around for signs of imminent peril. The sun was fairly well up in the sky, and Jigsaw was shaking a piece of paper in my face. I snapped into action with an immediate assessment of the situation. What on earth is with that?
I don't know. Is that like something that glitched out?
I think that's a possibility. There's like a weird whole thing here where it's like bunch of dashes, and then it goes parentheses 1. I blinked and said, "Huh?" And then dash 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 dash. Yeah, I think it might have glitched out or something.
Yeah. This.
Jigsaw kept waving the piece of paper, so I couldn't really see what it was.
This is a copy of the note you sent with the changeling?
I gave up trying to focus on the paper. Well, of course I made a copy. It's an official document, after all. Jigsaw sat down with a thump. She released the paper, and I caught it in my magic before it had a chance to blow away. She lowered her head until the muzzle was nearly touching her chest and mumbled,
"I'm sorry."
"What? No. Jigsaw, you had nothing to be sorry about. You're not used to..." I waved a hoof around in a vague gesture. "All this. Monsters, travel, stupid princess stuff. I never used to understand when Celestia did something I thought was illogical or just plain dumb in the name of politics. So when I let that monster go, you had to be thinking that I was crazy. And on top of that, sending a note, I could see how you..."
"Oh, stop it, Twilight."
Jigsaw looked up, and I could see she was on the verge of tears.
"You trusted Celestia, didn't you? Even when you didn't understand. But I didn't trust you. That note was probably one of the sweetest things anyone has ever done for me. I can't believe I was angry at you for not killing an intelligent creature, even if it was an overgrown tick."
Wait, you think that note was sweet? The fuck is wrong with you? No, she didn't say that. Well, she said part of that, but not all of that. I looked down at what I had written and couldn't find any sweetness in it. "Unto HRM, Queen Chrysalis of the Changeling Swarm, greetings from HSH, Princess Twilight Sparkle of Equestria, Your Majesty. Since the late unpleasantness in Canterlot, it has been assumed that Yourself and your subjects would be sufficiently wise enough to realize that choosing ponies as a focus of your attention would be a very bad idea. But as of tonight, I now have direct and personal evidence that this is not the case. Thus, if I may be so bold, I wish to explicitly inform your majesty that to target any ponies in the future would be very unwise indeed. As the pony who has defeated Nightmare Moon and Discord, among many others, and who has grown stronger by an order of magnitude since we last met, I will take a very personal interest in seeking direct retribution for any further such incidents. And you will forgive me if I put too fine a point on the matter. If your subject had injured the pony she attacked tonight in any significant way, I would have ripped open your festering hive and done such unspeakable things to your royal person that all civilized beings would spit on the ground in utter disgust and horror at the mention of my name for generations to come.
Ah, how sweet.
I earnestly hope that this missive will completely clarify the matter, and that there will be cordial relations between our peoples in the future. Yours, absolutely sincerely, Princess Twilight Sparkle. Jigsaw sniffled and wiped a hoof across her eyes.
Yes, it was sweet.
Then she gave me a wan smile. What the fuck does wan mean?
It's a name.
Wan. Pale and giving the impression of illness or exhaustion.
Okay.
Interesting.
For a given value of sweet.
Ah, math-related jokes. I guess she was gonna be alright. Well, I still feel like I should apologize, I told her. For something. She nodded.
And I know I need to apologize for being pointlessly angry and jealous about the whole thing.
Thank you. So we all agree that Jigsaw is the worst character.
You don't even think that. You don't.
I don't. It's true, I really don't. I love Jigsaw. Then why don't we just take the exchange of apologies as a given and get on with our expedition? We're getting a pretty late start as it is. I mean, whoo. Oh, awkward. Person who looked like you tried to do unspeakable things to me last night. Her equipment and supplies rose from the ground and began sorting into the various pockets of her saddlebag.
Sounds good to me.
Wait, jealous?
She got jealous because of the things that they did together.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
She's like, I wanted to call you mistress and have you pin me against the wall.
I'm very much worrying about... I told this to Wizzy, but I'm going to tell this to you guys because I trust you guys. I trust you guys with my feelings. And I trust that you will respect these feelings and allow me to say it. I am very much worried of this story if it doesn't do what it could possibly be seen as setting up doing. I'm very worried of it being queer baity.
Yeah, I don't feel like a My Little Pony fanfiction would do that, though.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're slimy enough, they might. Right, Esau?
Yeah, Esau. But, like, if you know me, and you've seen the last Celestia Code episode, or at least listened to it, you'll know that I'm like, I was not very for them doing Twigsaw, but
Yeah.
I'm still against the queer baiting more, so. But that's a whole nother thing, you know? I'm trying to pad this episode out because I think it might be a shorter one. We appeared in a small plaza near the edge of the ruins. We had examined it from the opposite rim of the canyon with my spyglass and detection spell. And it had seemed to be perfectly safe as a point for materialization. It was a bit small, and the tumbled buildings around it gave cover for creatures that I might have missed with my detection spell. But it was the best place to teleport to, given all the variables. As we emerged from the interstitial void, I guided the corona of... Don't say it. I guided the corona of dissipating magical energy into a shield spell around us, thereby saving a considerable amount of energy and giving us near instant protection.
That's a neat trick,
Jigsaw commented. Thank you, I beamed. Now, let's take a closer look at these buildings.
But shouldn't we head right for the library? We've wasted half the morning as it is.
Yeah, keep bashing my ears in with your voice. Let's see how it'll go. Just go charging in, and trust to our reflexes to save us from traps and ambushes? Jigsaw hesitated.
You do know that there are nowhere near so many traps in such real ruins, right? AK Yearling tends to exaggerate.
Okay, well, I think Twilight would have a bit more knowledge on that fact than you, Jigsaw.
Why would she have more knowledge than someone who is a historian of such facts?
Because Twilight has been on Daring Do adventures. It's a fact.
But Daring Do is an author?
But Daring Do is also an archaeologist.
Oh. Is she really an archaeologist?
Yeah.
Or just an adventurer?
AK Yearling is secretly Daring Do.
Yeah.
She's all like, oh no, I'm just AK Yearling. Yeah, but she secretly is like writing the books as sort of a keepsake of her adventures, right? So she'll be all like, yeah, this is just a fictional work, when it really happened.
But she didn't really study the history of such things like Jigsaw has. She's just gone into buildings herself.
But also, there are multiple Daring Do books, which would lead to the accuracy of such a statement.
Okay, fine. Maybe Daring Do knows more about the traps and the stuff than Jigsaw?
Exactly. I also have a hypothesis that she completely exaggerates things in her books. So that conversation was completely pointless. But I was trying to keep my theories out of stuff, you know? Of course. But I like being thorough and meticulous. I gave her a slow grin. Besides, wouldn't you feel silly if we ran into ceiling alligators? Thing that happened in a Daring Do book.
Wah, wah.
She couldn't help but smile back, but she waved a hoof at the surrounding half walls and rubble.
No ceilings?
She remarked dryly. Now I really want there to be ceiling alligators, though. I really want some ceiling alligators in here. Fine, I sighed and dropped the shield. Jigsaw held up the map and turned it to match orientation with the ruins. I never understood why ponies do that, by the way.
The library is that way, but it looks like the easiest route will be down that street.
I swept one wing out in that direction. Lead the way. I kept a little behind Jigsaw, scanning the ruins with brief bursts of magic. There were a few small creatures scuttling around, but nothing more than that. I had time to admire the intricate carvings on the stones, mostly abstract and decorative, but every once in a while I spotted a fragment of figurative relief. Once I saw a full sculpture of a unicorn's head, though the slab it had adorned had fallen over and was upside down.
Twilight?
Jigsaw said after we had been walking for about 10 minutes. Yes?
This place is a lot bigger than I had thought from studying the map. How many ponies do you suppose lived here?
Now that I think about it, do? Do like archaeology tunnels, whatever the fuck? Do like ancient structures actually have traps at all? I remember reading that they like don't have as many traps, but do they actually have traps?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so.
Neither would I, but I'm curious now because it's always they don't have as many traps.
So, in the pony world, J.K. Rowling wrote Indiana Jones books?
It's just a name.
Okay.
But no. Also, a lot of authors like do that with their names. Like J.R.R. Tolkien.
No, but friggin' like A.K. Yearling or whatever the name was is obviously a pun on J.K. Rowling.
But not entirely, though.
Yeah, entirely.
No, I wouldn't say so, actually. It sounds a bit like it, I'll give you that, but...
It's almost the exact same name.
But they're nothing alike, though. Like, A.K. Yearling is actually, what's the word? A good person. Anyways. Where were we? I did some quick mental calculations. Well, given the apparent density of the housing we've observed so far, and assuming it's typical of the rest of the city, I would estimate between 4,000 and 5,000. Why?
Well,
She looked back at me uncertainly.
there are some things about this place that seem odd.
How so?
Professor Sharpoof dates this
Professor
place...
Snape.
It is Harry Potter.
No.
Professor Sharpoof dates this place to the early classical era, and everything I've seen here supports that, which means that there would have been a UA ratio of about 1 to 5.
Sorry, I told her. I'm not really an archaeologist. I just own a pith helmet,
Urban to agrarian ratio.
she explained.
That means how many farmers are needed to support one town dweller. In the ECE, it was about 5 farmers to every town dweller, so...
She looked at me and raised an eyebrow. Roughly 25,000 farm ponies were needed to feed the ponies in the city. It wasn't until I'd said it out loud that I realized why that was so strange. And they would have to be... I waved my hoof at the barren desert beyond the canyon rim. Okay, Earth ponies were great at getting stuff to grow in harsh conditions, e.g. Appaloosa, but that was ridiculous. Jigsaw nodded.
Exactly. Okay, maybe there are some 80-odd villages out there buried in the sand, but even if this area was a lot wetter, they would still have to cover a really large area to grow enough food. Something should still be visible.
Look upon my works, ye mighty, and tremble. Or despair. It's despair, I think. That is odd.
And there's another thing.
She swept a hoof at the walls around us.
Have you noticed the carvings?
Yes, they seem fairly skillfully done.
Unicorns.
Yes? There was something I'd missed. What a strange feeling.
They're all unicorns. Every carving that features a pony has a horn.
Oh, you're right. I shrugged. It is a little odd, but lots of cities have predominance of one type of pony, so perhaps...
No.
Jigsaw interrupted me, shifting into full lecture mode. It was actually quite charming.
Oh, she's getting charmed. It's working.
Oh, boy.
In the ECE, they were obsessive about being egalitarian, with the tribes having united within living memory. Every pony was trying to outdo each other to show how unbigoted they were. Unlike Luna! If they put up a statue of a famous unicorn, there would be of Pegasus and an earth pony right next to it. A mural of mosaic that depicted a crowd scene which would have exactly the same number of ponies from each tribe. Trust me on this, Twilight. This isn't just odd, it's downright bizarre.
Then it hit me. Yes, I'm a polymath, an expert in many fields, most particularly magic and magical theory, I also have a working knowledge of an even larger number of disciplines, but that doesn't mean I am familiar with all of the endeavors of pony kind, nor do I have an aptitude for a great number of things. And thanks to a very dear friend of mine, I'm painfully aware that among other things I am terrible at, art may be at the top of the list.
Wait, what is this now?
This is a flashback or something, I don't know.
Alright, am I gonna be Rarity?
Yes! I want to hear your Rarity. Oh boy, I'm excited.
Oh no!
Fucking love it. Rarity gasped.
Dear, don't clump up the bunting like that. Here, let me.
She took the streamers out of my grasp and began to rearrange them along the sides of the hall. I had volunteered to help her decorate the hall in my castle where she was holding the get-together. She called it a soirée, whatever that means, with some of her important clients. Also, I do know how to say soirée, but Twilight doesn't know how to all that well, so I couldn't see much difference in the arrangement, but it was her party. I turned the flowers and began sitting out the vases on the tables. There was a little half-suppressed squeak from behind me. I turned to see Rarity biting her lower lip. She had been very patient with me. She carefully explained to me about the 3-level effect, and then I got it wrong by putting the candles in ascending order. Isn't that the most organized way? But I had to give up and admit defeat when she looked over at the way I had set out the first 3 vases at the end table, tallest in the center and the lowest near the door, and said,
Oh dear, no, those colors don't complement at all.
She was so afraid I would be offended, but I just laughed it off and said, Let's face it, Rarity, I'm aesthetically blind. Samesies, though. I'll ask a couple of the palace staff to come down and help out.
Can't relate.
Oh yeah, because you're so amazing.
I am.
Yeah, you are, though.
Aw, thanks.
You're not welcome because I wasn't telling the truth.
Now I get to cry.
Yay. So, even though I'd examined the illustration of the Celestia relief 100 times, I'd never noticed. I yanked the book out of my saddlebags and flipped it open to the right page. Yes, Princess Artistically Incompetent Twilight had missed the glaringly obvious. All the ponies were unicorns. There were some mules, cows, and even a couple griffins mixed in. Ugh, gross. Others? It's terrible. I'm going to hell. But not a single earth pony or Pegasus. I groaned in embarrassment and dropped my forehead to the page, hiding my face.
Twilight,
Jigsaw asked, hesitantly.
is everything okay?
Yes. No. I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. I suppose it's time I showed this to you. You're going to see it anyways, once we get to the library. It's just that it drives me to the edge of panic whenever I think about it. Jigsaw walked toward me with a look of concern on her face.
Hey, it's okay. Is it those pages in the journal you didn't want me to look at?
I nodded. Yes. And I should have shown them to you earlier. I should have trusted you. I stomped to the ground in frustration, sending up a puff of dust. I'm such a moron.
Sound like your Jason Funderburker voice.
Oh, God, no. Oh, jeez. Jigsaw chuckled. This is the last time you'll ever hear this.
No, I love that voice.
Goodbye, Wizzy.
Jason!
I have killed Jason.
I'm so sad.
You should be sad. He was a good man. It had to be done, though.
Jason. Anyway,
This is a very wacky episode, isn't it?
Whatever else you may be, mistress, your highness, you are most certainly not a moron. Besides,
The smile fell from her face, and she hesitated before continuing.
if it's the tyrant Celestia picture you
Boo.
read about, I've already seen it. It's not that big a deal.
Tyrant Celestia is a lame trope.
Well, it's a true trope.
No, it's not. Fuck you, Wizzy.
Sucks to suck.
Sucks to be wrong, like you. You, I sputtered.
I went looking for the copy of the note this morning. I couldn't sleep and I just wanted... I don't know. I was just upset.
Jigsaw lowered her head and turned a bit away from me.
The note was stuck in the book, at that page.
Her head sunk even lower.
I'm sorry I disobeyed you, mistress.
I took a deep breath. I took 3 deep breaths.
She's gonna kill her.
It's all right, Jigsaw, I told her. You see, my interpretation of Twilight is that she's trying to hold in the complete horrible anger that she feels towards this. I don't know if that's what they want, but that's what I'm going with. I hope you like it. We're partners on this expedition, and I should have trusted you from the start. It's just I didn't want this. I thumped the book with a hoof to get out. Celestia portrayed as evil? What would ponies think? Yeah, what would I think?
What would they think if their thoughts differed from the norm? She couldn't have that.
You ever think of me, though? You ever think what I would think, though? I certainly don't want Tyrant Celestia. Celestia best princess. Like, what am I supposed to do about it? I considered her words for a moment. But you said it's not a big deal. Why is that?
The Tyrant Celestia thing?
She asked. I nodded.
Well, it isn't that uncommon. I've seen dozens of them. Twilight? Twilight? Oh my goodness, are you alright?
And now,
Hey, Ryan.
an inside look into Twilight Sparkle's mind. All right, deepest apologies for that bit, guys. That was just stupid. Oh yeah. I should have mentioned conspiracy theories is chapter 6. Chapter 6, conspiracy theories. Look at that. It's the Celestia Code by Esau.
Careful, it's still hot.
I nodded, blew across the top of the Tim mug, I just said, blew across the top of the tin mug, then gently sipped. It was good tea. Jigsaw sat back and gave me a thoughtful look. We were in the street, right where we had been when she had casually toppled one of the pillars of my worldview. She'd gotten me to stop hyperventilating, unpacked the kettle, pot, and mugs, lit a small fire, and had made me tea. I drank half the mug before I trusted myself to speak. So, it came out as a half-strangled squeak, so like I've always been voicing Twilight. I cleared my throat and tried again. So there are other depictions of Princess Celestia, like that one? I pointed to the book that still lay open beside me.
Yes?
She replied cautiously. Nice job on the cautious.
Yeah. I didn't actually see that. I just felt like she would have a response sounding like that.
Thought it was really good. Really, really, really smart of you, man.
Wizzy did a real good job.
And that was the only time he ever did. Oh well.
They aren't well known outside of archaeological and historical circles, of course. I can understand how you might not have encountered them before. I believe you specialized in physics, magical theory, and mathematics, right? Rightio?
Yes, but I've also read history, and believe me, there's no pony else I know who's as interested in the royal alicorns. Why did I never even get hints of this. Jigsaw shrugged.
Probably because history, as Equestria knows it, is in shambles. It's a complete mess. Part
You've
legend,
got that right.
part folklore, part guesswork.
This is like the best fucking explanation of Equestria's history ever. Though I absolutely love how they deal with it in the show, this is like fucking perfect.
It's like Jigsaw is a fan trying to piece together the timeline.
Yes.
Import unreliable documents written by ancient revisionists, also known as fanfiction authors. Just in the time I've been in university, we've had a university. I get it because she's Irish, right?
I thought you were doing Scottish.
No, Scottish sounds a bit different. We've had a legendary boogeyman turn out to be a real and long-lost princess. Had a mad trickster god return to life from a statue. And had an entire forgotten empire pop out of nowhere. Half the history books written before last year are complete garbage now. I don't actually know what I'm doing. I am bad at doing the accent, and I'm bad at telling the accent apart. Well, unless I can hear it from someone else.
Yeah, but you're really cute doing it.
Aw, thanks.
I nodded in sympathy, thinking how upset I'd be if the rules of mathematics and magic changed every few years. So, the depictions. I couldn't bring myself to utter the word tyrant and Celestia in the same breath.
What the heck is up with this? I guess they can't question their leaders.
I wouldn't question Celestia. Celestia is perfect in every way.
Yeah, actually, now that I remember what I've seen of Twilight, she really would act like this in the show, wouldn't she?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I do it as a joke. She is my favorite princess, and I don't know, at that I would question her. She seems to be fine, but, like, Twilight takes that to a whole nother level. She would not question Celestia in the slightest.
I just remember the one scene that I've seen was, like, from some play that they were putting on, and she was like, yeah, Celestia, you're a great actor. And then she was like, no, you're not a good actor. And then Celestia was like,
yeah.
Twilight, why would you say that?
That's fucking season. It was either 9 or 8.
Ah.
The episode Horseplay, man. I think it was episode 8.
Oh my god, that name is so good.
I know, right? Ooh, this is going to be a really long episode.
They crop up in various places.
Jigsaw said with a shrug.
Mostly where some pony or some group of ponies had a grievance that they blamed on the princess, either for causing or for not alleviating. That said, it's pretty rare to find one carved into stone, particularly in a civic building like a library.
I thought of the sun and glory that had been painted on the ceiling of the Golden Oak Library in Ponyville. What could be so bad that it would make ponies turn against the princess? I wondered aloud.
How about that she and Discord were actually co-rulers of Equestria, and she turned him into stone in a fit of jealous rage when she caught him in bed with Luna. What?
That's it. I'm done. Nope.
With Luna and...
I will not have this Celestia Forsaken nonsense spread.
What is this fan fiction? This fan fiction inside of a fan fiction.
As a fucking Celestia follower, following Celestia always, I cannot have this propaganda spread.
It's Discord X Fluttershy, not Luna.
Yeah, this is completely gah. I'm not actually that mad, guys. It's just a bit.
You can't tell them that. You have to play it up for views.
I just don't want them to go, whoa, calm down there, Skippy. And I'm like, guys, my name's not Skippy. And then they're all like, whoa there, Skippy, calm down. You don't have to attack us over it. And then I'm like, I'm typing in, like, no caps. Why do you think I'm, like, getting angry at you? And then they're all like, well, it's the tone of your voice, man. It's the tone.
Ross, is this personal experience?
Not really. I've had experiences with some other stuff, but not that specifically. I'm going to continue reading and probably not continue talking about anything because this is already a long episode. It's 50 minutes and we've only read about 2,000 something words. What?
Whoa there, Skippy.
You fuck.
Whoa there, Twilight.
Jigsaw held up her forehooves.
It's just one of the silly stories. A conspiracy theory that some ponies took a little too seriously. Right, Skippy?
I'm going to kill you. They'd have to be complete and utter idiots to believe such nonsense. Jigsaw shrugged.
It all happened more than 1,000 years ago. Where's the evidence for or against?
I really hope it's going where I want it to go.
Same.
Because if it's going where I want it to go, I'm like, oh, this is actually genius. But if it's not, I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. But it's a highly praised fan fiction by many people, so I'm going to keep my mind open, you know? And stop talking. I was about to say that I knew Celestia, and that she would never do something that's so awful. When I stopped myself, argument by assertion was for fools. I took a deep breath and gathered my thoughts. Such actions on the part of Princess Celestia would be extraordinary, out of keeping with her known character, and so would require extraordinary evidence to merit any consideration at all. Lack of any evidence is a definite strike against that theory.
Wow.
Jigsaw's eyes widened a bit.
I wish you had been around when I was cramming for my debate class.
I grinned. Professor Magnolia always said I could argue the wheels off a train.
It's doing the thing again.
It's doing the thing again. What the heck? It's got like the brackets one thing and then the dashes and then... Or failing that, simply lecture it to death.
Well...
She got to her hooves and grinned.
Now you've got a chance to disprove another conspiracy theory.
Hell yeah.
But first, you've got to decrypt the mysterious code and figure out what it is that needs disproving.
Well, when you put it that way, I got up and helped her put away the tea things. Do you drink tea, Wizzy? Gotta ask.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so do you call all of the things in a tea set the tea things?
I don't have a tea set. I have a mug and a kettle and a box of lemon ginger tea.
All right, well, let's say we all gathered that up, put it like outside or something like that. And you'd made some for me because I just learned that Celestia has been seen as a tyrant in the past. And we were putting it away. And let's say you were just writing this down in a journal. Would the words you use be the tea things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Would that be a word you would use if you were trying to make a good story?
I think they could have said the tea set, but I don't know. I mean, just the tea things, the tea stuff. The stuff for the tea.
I think tea stuff would have been better. But that doesn't matter. And Esau, you're a good writer. I just am very confused at that wording. She started off down the street toward the library. I looked back over her shoulder, smiled mischievously, and called back to me.
Come on, adventure awaits.
Adventure is out there. Oh, so now you're in charge? Because where I'm from, that gets you, put to death.
No, of course I'm not in charge, mistress.
Stop calling me that.
I'm going to keep doing that.
Stop.
I've got the map, and I'm up front. Try to keep up.
She stuck her tongue out at me.
Da-da, da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Come on, man. This is so long already.
Fine. Princess.
The library had an arched stone roof that was still intact. Protection from the weather, plus the dry desert air, had preserved the interior quite well. We lit our horns as we entered, and both looked up at the ceiling. I can't speak for Jigsaw, but my motivation was to check the apparent soundness of the stonework and to examine any decorative carvings. Alligators had nothing to do with it. It nearly broke my heart to see the empty shelves lining the walls. What a wealth of knowledge must have rested there at one time. Just an account book from that long ago era would have opened a window into their culture. The building was in a rough Y shape with a central rotunda. It was in that large circular space that we found the bas relief of Celestia. We stood there for a long time, looking at it until Jigsaw finally broke the silence.
Yep, definitely not so bad. I've seen ones with dripping fangs.
I couldn't help but snort of laughter. Though, I'm sure she was just making light of the situation to help me with my... There had to be a name for a phobia of an idol. Debased, but I couldn't bring it to mind. Wizzy, look that up, quick.
Okay. Fear of debased idols.
Yes, I've read psychology too, but I can't be expected to remember every little detail. You better still be looking that up. I knew it was going to bug me until I looked it up. Above the carving was a line of small suns near the ceiling. There were 10 on each section of the wall between the doors leading to the wings of the building. I brought out my notebook that had the key that I'd worked out for decoding the rays. Okay, let's see if this works. I picked a sun over the middle of the wall and started working. Hedemonophacha. Hedemonophacha? I squinted at the paper. That doesn't... Wizzy, I'm sorry, but you can't look it up anymore.
Why?
Because you have to read.
No. Demon!
Shouted Jigsaw. That was loud as shit.
I was hoping it would be.
It startled me, man. I whirled around, horn blazing with magical energy. Where? I cried. Looked around for some unearthly fiend to unleash my magic on.
No, the word. Look at your notebook. He demon of Chaw. Your decoding scheme works. You just started in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, of course. I don't know why I'm talking like this. This isn't Twilight's voice. Oh, of course. I lifted my eyes from the page to meet Jigsaw's. You're never gonna let me forget this, are you? She had a really wicked smile sometimes.
Okay, so here's an update.
Yes.
The only thing I could find is some book called Heriophobia, Fear of Challenges to Official Doctrine or of Radical Deviation, which I think kind of describes what she's talking about, but I see no one else using that word.
Well, I guess it's not a very common fear. I have a fear of it, but of course only when it comes to Celestia.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Not in 1,000 years, princess, but I will keep it our little secret. Oh, yes.
I suppose I will have to be satisfied with that. I pouted. Now, let's see if I can find the starting point. I got out the journal and opened it to the page with the illustration of the sun. I held it up and compared it to the line of carved ones. They all looked pretty much the same to me.
May I?
No, Jigsaw asked. I shrugged and passed the book to her. She found it within seconds, of course she did. Mary Sue Jigsaw, that's what I like to call her.
Oh, no, is she?
I don't know, she found that thing pretty quickly, I'm just saying. The original sun was right over Celestia's head, pretty obvious in retrospect. How do you do that? I asked her.
I just look at them. It seems obvious to me. It may be because of my special talent for working out puzzles, I suppose.
I'm telling you, she's fucking hiding something.
Oh.
I don't fucking trust her.
It's in her eyeballs. Look in her eyeballs.
I think and hope that she is the main villain of this. and Twilight will have to fucking kill her.
Or marry her and they get to be the villains together.
Ooh. I shook my head. I think it's more that I'm artistically tone deaf. A sudden thought struck me, and I chuckled.
What is it?
Oh, nothing really. I just realized Trixie could have beaten me without breaking a sweat. You see, I got into a magic duel once, and with a unicorn named Trixie, the great and powerful Trixie to be precise.
Wait, is that what she actually goes by?
Yeah, the great and powerful Trixie.
Oh.
Yeah, of course.
I just remember all the different titles that one story had given her.
Oh, yeah.
6 characters in search of a point. Watch it. Watch our episode on it. Read the story.
Don't watch it. You can't watch it. It'd be a really boring watch.
Aww.
Listen to it.
That was one of our best episodes.
Listen to it,
Oh,
guys.
I see what you're talking about. Screw you, Ross.
Dude, you can't watch a blank screen.
It's not blank. It has a beautiful image that you made for it.
Thank you, but still, it doesn't work if you say watch.
Hey, I've seen one of her shows. She's really talented.
Jigsaw frowned.
You fought a duel with her? A real duel? Not just the party popper stuff the young nobles get up to in Contralot?
I shook my head. Not at all. Trixie is a fairly powerful magician in her own right, and she was using an ancient amulet to boost her power to the highest levels.
Did you?
Jigsaw drew a hoof across her throat. This is where me and Twilight depart on similarities. 'Cause I would have 100% said the opposite of this. Oh, no. No, every pony was fine afterward. Now, I would have said, yes, I 100% did that. I 100% killed her.
But would you have actually killed her?
No.
There you go.
You see,
The only difference is Twilight likes to be honest.
I'm what do you call it? A chronic liar. So anyways.
It's habitual.
I bit my lip. Yeah, it's a long story. The point is, she specializes in illusion magic and pyrotechnics. She could have won the first cast if she had challenged me to a duel of illusions. I've got powerful magic, but no talent for artistry. The best I could have come up with would look like animated crayon scrawls.
Aw, but that would be awesome.
That would be. Jigsaw thought about it for a second and then asked,
So if I challenged you to a magic illustrating pottery shard patterns duel...
I gave her the stink eye and she broke off, chuckling.
Hee hee hee.
My point is, I said, sheer power isn't always the best tool to use on a problem. Even sheer brain power. It always helps, but training and talent are often more useful. Jigsaw gave me a crooked smile, a hideous, evil smile. Oh, those teeth on...
She looked like one of those ceiling alligators.
Oh my god, she was a ceiling alligator the whole time!
They were there the entire time. That's why she wanted to convince her they weren't there.
Of course.
Boom! So good at cracking the Celestia code. Anyway. So, being a genius alicorn isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Hey, shut up. I just rolled my eyes and got back to the job at Hoof. I redecoded the first sun just to make sure it was the correct one. Ladi Celestia. I wonder what that means. Then the next. Fridas Fromt. Okay. The next sun was the one I had already done. Hedimanovcha.
The Demon of Chaos?
Jigsaw guessed.
That must be a reference to Discord.
Hey, look. I
I
nodded.
use it all the time to talk to my friends.
I nodded non-committally, 2 parentheses brackets,
Oh,
and
boy.
continued decoding. And then it's the whole dash thing. You remember that. One of Luna's tricks. She's a wealth of princessly techniques. Ostbkodbratgakabaya. It's Osbrat BYU. Brigham Young University. Mormons.
Hey, you think, what is that?
I'm just saying, I want some representation for me in these fan fictions.
Do you ever think that these dashes and number bracket things have anything to do with us having to code the Celestia code while we're reading?
Oh, maybe. That would be so clever. I don't fucking have time.
Yeah. I don't think they'd do that anyway.
Yeah, that would be clever. But don't do it. Looks like you were right, I said and continued on. Uniting the by uniting the Okay, now I'm getting it. I kept going, just concentrating on each letter until I had made a complete circuit of the room. Then I reoccupied the message in a more understandable script.
Lady Celestia freed us from the demon of chaos by uniting the something. I'm sorry, I just wanted to go back and read all that.
That's clever, Wizzy. I'm glad you did. Lady Celestia freed us from the demon of chaos brought by uniting the 3 pony tribes, but when we would go again to our rightful place, she bid us yet to live among our lesser, and kept upon her brow the treasure of the unicorns. So we came away in secret to this place, and crafted anew the magic of old. In time of great need, seek it beneath the cornucopia. It alone holds the power to cast down the false princess, and she calls for our enslavement.
Unicorn supremacists. Jesus.
Now, Wizzy, you best freaking say the opposite as a joke here. Jigsaw sneered in disgust.
I love unicorn supremacists.
There we go. Yeah, that's the joke. You see, we script
so
these
dirty.
heavily, but sometimes Wizzy goes off script and doesn't follow my instructions.
I hate unicorn supremacists. This is reminding me of that Children of the Night short that you showed me.
Oh, yeah. That is either on my my YouTube channel, Rospit Shark Hunter, or it is going up on my YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to Rospit Shark Hunter so that you don't miss another upload in about a year's time or so. No mention of Luna, I noted. The jerks.
They seem to think uniting the tribes brought about Discord's reign somehow.
Logic isn't the strong suit of those sorts.
Take that, you racists,
I observed. Jigsaw read ahead and pointed to the last sentence.
What's with the and there?
I'm guessing it's used archaically for if, and they had to make the message come out to multiples of 12 letters, I suppose.
So they ran off sometime after the defeat of Discord, when it became clear Celestia was going to keep Equestria united and the tribes equal.
See, Celestia's fucking perfect. You can't fucking disagree with that.
Tyrant!
Shut up.
Stop mixing the races!
Oh, let's see. If I see one hideous earth pony in my neck of the woods, I'm just gonna have to... Jigsaw said. Right.
She did not say that.
That was funnier than it should have been. Right, I agreed. And they seem to think that Celestia's kept a treasure of theirs on her brow. A crown, maybe? We both looked up at the relief. It's edge on. So, it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like the element of magic. It's certainly not the crown she wears now.
The unicorns thought the element belonged to them? Why would that be?
No clue.
Because they use magic with their horns, of course. God.
There you go. No clue, I said. We'll come back to that. The interesting bit is that they claim to have made a magical artifact or weapon capable of defeating Celestia, and they hid it under the cornucopia.
Cornucopia?
Jigsaw repeated.
The mythical ram's horn that gave a near end... They give a never-ending supply of food. Maybe there's a statue or mural somewhere and they hid the thing under it?
A sudden thought hit me. Wait, what if the cornucopia wasn't mythical? It would be a pretty useful thing to have in a desert city where there's no decent farmland or earth ponies to grow food, right? Jigsaw's eyes lit up.
Now, wouldn't that be something to take back to the university?
I nodded in unambiguous agreement that time. Not to mention the magical weapon they created. Although, that would be better off sealed in Canterlot Tower or maybe one of the vaults in the Royal Archive.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Jigsaw asked, pulling the map out of her saddlebag.
Let's lay out a search pattern. You can do an aerial sweep over the city to spot anything obvious, and I'll double-check the map and journal.
Okay, so they're trying to do like archaeological stuff with a team of 2? It takes years to do this stuff with a team of like 100. They're morons. Anyways.
They are ponies. They have magic.
Yeah. And half the time, the magic seems to go wrong for them, so I don't know if the magic is such a good idea. I had to smile at her sudden enthusiasm, though I was getting excited myself. Alright, a simple outward spiral should do it. I'll be back soon. A spiral. As big as a battleship.
I don't get that reference.
An old 50s movie reference to the giant claw. It's, honestly not a bad film, but it has one of the dumbest looking monsters of all time. Like, actually, I should show you later. I headed for the door. I had gotten out of the rotunda when Jigsaw called me back.
Twilight?
Yes? I asked, poking my head back in the big room. She hesitated.
I just thought
Yes?
maybe it isn't such a good idea to split up. I know there's probably nothing dangerous in the city, and I'm sure,
Tartarus, how could I have been so insensitive? The last time we'd been out of sight of each other, a changeling had jumped her. You're right, I said with conviction. Why don't we save the bookwork for tonight and go flying while we still got light? Her relief was obvious. Aw. But then she frowned.
Are you strong enough to carry me? I mean, yes, I know you're strong enough, but will it be awkward? Will I get in the way?
I shrugged. We could do it a few different ways. I can carry you, or I could give you some temporary wings of your own, or...
Woohoo!
cried Jigsaw, her mane and tail whipping in the wind. She was holding her forelegs out from her side like ersatz wings. Ersatz? Wings. And leaning back and forth as I banked. I was levitating her as I flew, holding her above and slightly behind me. Hey, Wonderbolt, I called up to her. I know it's fun, but keep scanning the ruins. I couldn't really blame her. I remembered all too well those giddy days when I had first gotten a real feel for my new wings.
Yes, ma'am,
she yelled back, and nearly conked herself on the forehead as she tried to salute at speed. She's adorable. But I still didn't trust her. We spent a few hours covering the city. There were several mostly intact buildings and statues, but nothing remotely resembling a giant horn full of fruit. We kept it up until the sun got low in the western sky. Then I put us down at the library, and we both gulped at our canteens. We gave the building another, more thorough search, and then I sealed each of the 2 doors that led to the outside with a rumble from a collapsed wall. Just to be on the safe side, I explained to Jigsaw as we settled down to examine the map and journal.
Fine by me,
she said with conviction. It wasn't long after that we began to yawn. I don't know who started it, but we soon couldn't help ourselves, even though it was still early in the evening. I guess I didn't get much sleep last night, I said.
Look at you.
Jigsaw replied.
I didn't get any.
None at all? Yeah, Twilight. Kind of obviously none at all. I asked, surprised.
I was kind of upset.
Yeah, I noticed, but...
And I was also a bit ticked off at myself. I knew I was being unfair to you.
Hey, we're good now, okay? Shut the fuck up. I have lost the Twilight voice. She nodded, then yawned again.
It's kind of funny.
She mumbled as she rolled the map and replaced it in its tube.
We've been talking and joking like old friends all day.
I hope we are friends.
I hope we're more than friends.
Okay, let's calm down there, pal. I told her as I put the journal and my notebook away, one step at a time, but she gave me a broad smile at that.
Me too. It's just that a little while ago, I was completely in awe of you. I never would have dreamed.
She waved a hoof around in a vague gesture.
All this?
That I'm a whole lot less awesome close up? I snorted. Any of my Ponyville pals would have told you that. She yawned again, and she shook her head.
No, still some more there. Just, I don't know. Too tired to think.
She leaned over and gave me a one-legged hug and a light kiss on my cheek.
Good night, mistress.
No.
Good night, Twilight. Thanks for taking me flying.
She lay down and pulled her blanket over her. She was deeply asleep before I had unfrozen from the effects of her kiss. It was just a social thing, right? Completely casual?
Yeah,
Of
they're
course
going to
it
get
was.
together.
Right, casual. Our bedrolls were next to each other, set out that way for convenience. I don't know, like that completely casual thing. That's such a straight person thing to say. And also a gay person in the closet, I suppose, but that's super straight. I don't know, I'm worried that our dearest Twilight is not into her.
No, she's definitely into her.
Well, she better be, or else I'm gonna be
Bye,
pissed.
Light. Bye, Light.
Our bedrolls were next to each other, set out that way for convenience, while we studied the documents together. If I moved mine away, she would take it as an indication of... What? I didn't even know. I settled for shifting it just far enough so that I wouldn't hit her if I flopped a wing out in my sleep. I raised a shield around us, giving it about half a day magical charge. It turned out to be a very good thing I did so.
Ominous.
Interesting.
That's the end, fellas.
That's all of the Celestia Code, sadly.
Yeah.
There aren't any more chapters. No sequels.
Tell me, why didn't we pick
ended.
why did we pick an incomplete story to read, Ross?
Well, it's actually very simple. I hate myself. Now I will
don't
be
do that, Ross.
concerned as to what happened to Twilight and Jigsaw. Will they get together? Won't they get together? We don't know. No, of course it continues, but yeah, that was chapters 5 and 6 of the Celestia Code, Into the Ruins and Conspiracy Theories by Esau. Wizzy, what are your thoughts about this?
Definitely more character development here than action-packed like the last chapters. But I thought the progress they made is really coming together, and I like that.
I agree.
Finally unraveling that story, that secret. I just don't get the whole Tyrant Celestia thing. There's no problem with that.
Yeah. It's interesting. But I really am enjoying this. I think these past two chapters, maybe not my favorites of the story, though I really liked 5. I think they're pretty good, and I really can't wait to figure out this whatever the fuck mystery is going on.
Yeah, it's I'm glad that they still have the flirting thing going on between Jigsaw and Twilight, so it wasn't just for the changeling scenario thing.
Yeah.
As long as they do actually end up getting together, I really want them to. It better be nice and cute and romantic. But also, I'm sad that the changeling didn't come back.
Yeah. I have it on good authority. By good authority, I mean I totally spoiled myself. Something that happens later in this story. I can't say what it is, but I'm trying to forget that I ever heard about it.
Why'd you do it?
An accident. And also a group on FimFiction that comes up when you look up the Celestia code, like, what the fuck? Anyways, if Twilight and Jigsaw don't get together, I mean, it better be damn well. It better be good. It better be a good, like, good way to explain it all. And, like, we're like, well, maybe it's best that they don't get together or whatever the fuck. My point is, I'm enjoying this episode so far, and this has become one of our longest episodes yet.
How?
Yeah, this is actually longer than the last episode of the Celestia Code. We've been joking around a lot, I think.
Well, I hope it was at least entertaining.
If it wasn't, don't tell us, guys. This isn't a job for us. We don't care.
We're just going to hurt our feelings.
We're just making this for the shits and giggles. Like, we like you guys. We hope that you have fun with it, but, you know, I mean, don't be mean about it at the very least.
And that wraps everything up.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you want to, I don't know, support us, you can't, sadly. But you can also, I don't know, get the word out about us. Like, tweet about this podcast or something like that. I don't know. Who cares? I don't. You can also find me at Ross Pitt Shark on Twitter. And if Wizzy wants to plug something, I'm sure he can.
You can follow me at Wizzy_Puff on Twitter.
You can do that.
That's a pretty nice place to be.
And you can also check me out. Check out my channel, Ross Pitt Shark Hunter. But other than that, I don't know. Subscribe to this podcast or whatever you people do in podcast land. Good night. I don't know. This was an odd one. This was an odd one, wasn't it?
Bye. Recording.
Okay. You can be recording. I don't care. See if I care. I don't care.
Oh. So you want me to stop recording now? Is that it?
No, I don't. No, you keep recording if you want to.
Guys, he's playing hard to get. I think I have to whip out Flirtatious Wizzy.
Ooh.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Come here often?
Nah, man.
Yeah, we don't record that often. We should record more.
That's what I've been saying. But last month you were like, no, I don't want to record. Fuck you.
It was Christmas. I was spending it with my family.
Christmas, my ass. I have a show to do. I think that's gonna.
Is that you?
That'll probably be the end of the episode.